Like you're also privy to the inner workings in the presidency in this regard. The military has dismissed rumors of a failed coup, even as reports emerged of 16 senior soldiers being arrested. Now we're seeing a reshuffle weeks after. How's the political class processing this development?
Well, you know, politics will always be politics, and people who want to play around with, who want to politicize security will be in a very unfortunate situation, because security is responsibility of every one of us, and Nigeria has to be secured before anybody can lead. You know, leadership will come in only when the country is secured. So I don't think it is an area where anybody is interested in politicizing it. So, and changes, when it comes to changes in a situation like this, you know, I'm not a military person, I'm not a security expert, you know, but I've always had meetings with, I tell you, in my state, for instance, you know, since I came as a governor 6 years ago, I have had over 6 or 7 directors of DSS, 4 commissioners of police now, so many generals that have come either for wild stroke or special forces that have come and moved. You know, just recently we had one of the generals that has been moved, you know, from there. So we continue to see this all the time, you know, and I believe this is also the same that you will continue to see. So if we see a little bit of change in order to improve the security of the country, most likely, you know, more people have to be brought in, more people have to be moved around or something like that. For me, with my little knowledge of security, that's the way I see it.
Let's talk about what you think this change would mean for Nasarawa as Chief Security Officer and perhaps the North Central region. You recently warned that a new terrorist group has emerged at a recent expanded State Security Council meeting you held. We've seen kidnappings now rampant in places like the Lafia-Karo axis. Your own aide recently was abducted. You also personally acknowledged that old strategies may no longer be working. Will you be asking for or expecting specific commitments from the new federal military leadership in this regard?
Yeah, I will just make a few corrections. You know, first and foremost, we didn't say that kidnapping is rampant in Nasarawa State, because we are not used to insecurity in Nasarawa. Every time they kidnap one person, you see, we are very worried. Every time we hear one person is killed, we are very worried, because we are not used to this kind of insecurity situation. So it can go for a whole 2 weeks, 3 weeks without any kidnapping. But then 2 days, 3 days in a row, you know, you can hear some kidnapping, and then we get worried, and then we get panicking. So for us in Nasarawa, every time we have situations like that, you know, we come together, and then we don't say that the current plans are not working. Instead, we say we have to review what we are doing, and we have to improve on that. And in most cases, it's provision of more equipment that is required, improvement of the technology we are using for security, engaging more personnel, engaging more other stakeholders, you know, to do that. So those are the kinds of things we do. So those ones are reviewing and improving our security architecture. It's not necessarily saying that what we are having is not working. What are we expecting from the current people who are there? As I said, you know, the new CDS is actually not a new person. In fact, he was in Nasarawa recently, you know, so, and he came in because there was a movement of an institution, you know, of the military from one of the states in the east, in the northeast, you know, down to Nasarawa State for training. So he's somebody we are very familiar with, and we believe very strongly that he's very familiar with our situation in Nasarawa and indeed in the North Central, and we believe it is also going to be positive direction for us. You know, so I don't think it is going to be anything different. Right. It's just that we are expecting there is going to be more attention, more improvement, and things like that.
But Governor Sule, what are you doing specifically to address concerns of sabotage in the system, with reports that certain stakeholders seek the release of detained kidnapped suspects in Nasarawa?
No, but exactly, that is right. You know, in fact, that's the whole essence of the last meeting we had. Because the last meeting we had, we were informed, you know, sometimes from the social media, sometimes from text messages, that you will hear that some kidnapped victims that were taken to detention, you know, of the police were released. So, of course, we had to invite, the head of the CID division, the police officers in charge, everything, and sit down and say, hey, this is the problem we are facing. What are you saying? And then they also complain that sometimes they are not the one releasing them. They go to court and they get bail. So we now invited the judges. In fact, we invited the CJ, to be part of the meeting. She was part of the meeting, our chief judge of the state. And then we discussed that. And now there is more synergy between them. So now we set up that there are all the three have to work together. Our State Ministry of Justice, our police prosecution unit, and of course the CJ's office, to monitor, if there are some foul play between some of those people that are being released. And so far, we have not had anything negative anymore.